Welcome to this week's episode of All Elite Radio. We have just seen the fallout from AEW Grand Slam into Dynamite and Collision on the course to AEW Revolution. And of course, I'm Sean with my co-host Ashley. Ashley, heading out of Dynamite, I was feeling like it was a letdown of a week in AEW wrestling until I saw last night's episode of Collision, and somehow, some way, they have proven me wrong, and I feel like it was a great week in AEW wrestling. How about you?
Yeah, I feel like the Dynamite, like you said, a little bit full of ups and downs, I think, throughout that episode. But the Collision, I think, very solid tonight. And I think even with some rematches and some expected matches coming up for the Revolution, I think they did a good job of setting up some very good stakes and kind of laying out the final plan for Revolution here tonight.
I agree with you. And we have 7 questions to help us work our way through the week that was in AEW wrestling. And my first question for you, Ashley, is did the MJF Hangman Adam Page promo back from Dynamite this past week, did it run just a bit too long? I enjoy it. It was a great promo. It set up the story for the match at Revolution. But for a minute there, I thought it was dragging along until we hit the high point.
I've seen a little bit of I would say like divisive reactions. I've seen a lot of people, like you said, like really like it. I enjoyed it. These are two of my favorites on the microphone, and obviously Hangman is is my favorite, so I'm always gonna love what he's doing. I enjoy all of his storytelling. Um, I really like the promo segment. I like what it's led to. I like the buildup that we've had with all the short interactions, sort of leading up to this bigger one. I do think maybe the whole segment overall went a little long, and I think that's also because we don't see this that often here in AEW. But I do think it was a very impactful, uh, time they had in the ring, like, going back and forth.
I feel like maybe MJF could edit down his hero origin story as he was basically telling how him and Heyman Adam Page have been on opposing sides ever since they entered AEW back at the very beginning. Because MJF literally talked about the first Casino Battle Royal and how Heyman Adam Page was the one that screwed him out of his first chance at the AEW World title, and he had to climb his way back up to prove everybody wrong about him.
Yeah, I'm torn. It felt like a little bit like catching everybody up to speed what was going on. But that's another thing we also don't see very often in AEW promos. They usually kind of expect you to know the lore or to have some kind of idea. They don't usually kind of recap every single thing step by step, kind of like we saw MJF do in that promo.
Well, I enjoyed the fact that MJF was laying out his case at about how the fans are kinda, like, hypocritical here because they're cheering for a gentleman who burned down a house, stuck a syringe in a mouth of a fellow competitor, beat down a legend in Christopher Daniels, and yet the fans are considering Heyman Adam Page redeemable when over here, MJF is non-redeemable.
Yeah, no, and I mean, this is what also makes MJF a compelling heel is because he is a douchebag. He is somebody we want to hate, but he's often not wrong in what he says.
Now, I like the comeback that Heyman and Page has at the very end of this promo when they're face to face and MJF is going like, "I'm better on the mic. I'm better dressed. I'm better good looking. Name one thing that you're better at than I am." And the simple response that Heyman and Page had was, "I'm real," and he drops the mic.
Yeah, and MJF, we've seen struggle with insecurities and we've seen him kind of be vulnerable and let his guard down and what that did to him and how that made him like kind of hate even more than he did before. So I think what Hangman said cut him to the core, and now he is going to turn off, like, I feel like all emotion, and just we're going to see some real heel MJF, I'm hoping.
I get a feeling that we're gonna get a darker side to MJF as
Mhm.
he end that promo by saying he doesn't care to be the bad guy. So, I get a feeling that we're gonna see the original MJF here at Revolution.
Yeah, I think it would be we've kind of seen MJF kind of have like the goofier heel side of things, and he's still been sort of I would say a little bit of a tweener. You still get he's our scumbag chance here and there. So to see him kind of pull out some real dastardly stuff against what, like you said, through arson, through attempted murder, through everything, people have stood by Hangman. It'll be interesting to see the outcome of Revolution.
Yeah, so we have Heyman Adam Page versus MJF confirmed for AEW Revolution. Here's my side question for you, Ashley. Would you rather have this match or Jeff Jarrett versus MJF in some kind of retirement stipulation match for Revolution?
Well, as far as match wise, I think I would rather get this one, but I feel like we should have had that match.
See, the only problem about having MJF versus Jeff Jarrett is I want Jeff to beat MJF, and I know that's not how you should book the story. The story should be MJF gets the easy victory over the veteran who could afford the loss and Jeff Jarrett. But if you've seen the story of Jeff Jarrett versus MJF from the beginning of this year to now, Jeff is owed one because MJF basically made fun of his wife and beat Jeff down a bit. So to me, Southern Wrestling babyface Jeff Jarrett needs to whip this city slicker.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised it wasn't a match that was set up for Australia or something with the way they had built it up.
Hopefully, we work our way back around to this. I hope they don't drop it because honestly, it was a compelling storyline there for the last month and a half on AEW TV.
It'll become interesting. I think maybe they can come back around to it, whatever the fallout of the Hangman MJF match is. If you have Hangman go over, you could certainly have Jeff Jarrett kind of taunt him about it. If you have MJF go over, you could have him be like, "I took down Hangman, and now I'm coming back for you, old man." Kind of go on like a little bit of a revenge, seeking bit.
Very true. Another rematch that we have coming up at AEW Revolution, as we found out on last night's episode of Collision, we are getting the third in the trilogy of Thomas Tony Storm versus Mariah May. As Collision opened up, normally like they do with backstage vignettes, and we see a blonde lady attacking Tony Storm, and she turns around to be Mariah May, and she drags the lifeless body of Tony Storm out onto the stage, demands Thomas Tony Storm's spotlight, and she lays out her challenge for Revolution.
Yeah, it seems Tony Storm has maybe broken Mariah May. um, that was a vicious beatdown. She attacks her, as you said, walking in the back. Beats her up all the way out to the stage, and like you said, lays out her challenge for Revolution. Um, I'm not like I said before, everything they've done has been great. I thought we would separate them, but this segment alone had me very excited for Revolution and what they could do again together. And I know they were on limited time with, their match in Australia with it being on Dynamite, but with this being on pay-per-view, give them some space, give them like 20, 25 minutes, let them go to town this time.
Honestly, my question for this was going to be: is it too soon for Tony Storm versus Mariah May 3? As we just had this like literally a week ago, as we're recording on a Saturday night here. But that promo, that vignette was so good. I'm ready to see the end of this Hollywood horror story. And I got a feeling that it's going to be a bloody freaking match. It's going to be a classic. It might be a match that we remember down the road at the end of the year as one of our best matches of the year.
That was a good comparison too, because Tony Storm was kind of like the crazed, like, 40s, like, maybe dramatic actress, but Mariah May definitely seems more like a crazed, like, horror actress who's coming back for revenge.
Well, Mariah May did say that she's here to write the ending to this movie since Thomas Tony Storm was unable to write a perfect ending to it.
Like I said, I thought maybe too soon too, but after that segment, what these 2 women have already done, I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm hoping that there's still a lot of challengers I wanna see Tony Storm face, so I'm hoping that, like, afterward we can get past it, but I can't wait. Like I said, I'm hoping for a little bit more time and for them to have a good match at Revolution.
So let's go back to probably the biggest burning question of the week is if anybody saw AEW Dynamite this past week, there's a match with Megan Blaine versus Chris Statler. Towards the end of the match, Penelope Ford appears, causes Chris Statler the match, and we get Thunder Rosa running down to make the save with a steel chair. And she gets into the ring to fend off the heels. And basically, it fell apart from there.
Yeah, this was very awkward, for about, I don't know, a solid minute or so. Um, I don't know who this is on. I don't know if this is on Thunder Rosa for not swinging. I don't know if this is on, like, Bane and Ford for not, getting out of the ring and leaving. Very, very awkward showdown with Thunder Rosa just kind of putting the chair in between her and Megan Bane and sort of lightly pushing at her while Megan Bane kind of stares her down. I don't know exactly, like I said, like, who's to blame here. I don't know if there's, like, a little bit of blame to go around. I don't know why, like, production didn't get involved or a referee didn't jump in, like, somebody had to help that dying segment.
I was thinking as I was watching it, like, somebody back in the back needed to send out 3 or 4 different people just to run down to the ring, try to pull them apart or something just to try to save the segment because I've erring on the side that maybe they forgot this spot. They kinda went blank there for, literally a minute and a half, and everybody was trying to figure out what to do, and this is live TV, so it's on Tony from the beginning here because this is his show. He should be there. He was probably watching it, and he shoulda went, You, go down to the ring and just pull these 4 ladies apart and just end the segment there, like, let's cut to the back, let's do something."
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, somebody's gonna notice something's going on. I don't know what the actual spot was intended to be, but it was a bad look to kind of just stand there for, like I said, almost it felt like an eternity.
I mean, I really felt sorry for Chris Statler who had to lay on the mat selling the beat down literally for, like, 4 minutes as we're looking at this post-match angle that apparently leads to a tag team match with Thunder Rosa and Chris Statler versus Penelope Ford and Megan Bane, basically in the future, we think.
Yeah, I have a feeling they'll stick with it and we'll get that match down the road. But like you said, very awkward segment to start it off. So hopefully they can recover and at least have some more momentum going into the match.
Now, I did see a story from Figure 4 Weekly where they were talking about apparently AEW does not do production meetings. Now, I don't know. I won't take it with a grain of salt because in my mind, I would think any company that runs professional wrestling or does professional wrestling would want to have a run through a production meeting for their weekly TV show. Because to me, that would make sense. That would be my first thing I would do if I owned the company.
I feel like it would be insane to not have at least one meeting to know what was happening on the show. I feel like I don't know if this was maybe something to try to avoid leaks of some sort. I don't feel like that can be true. I could be wrong. This is Tony Khan. We know he's nuts. But I feel like this can't be true. Like, you have to know what's going on. Everybody has to know what's going on for the show.
Exactly. Because if I was the Discovery Time Warner and I heard that story, I'd be like, first man video is Don and Tony going like, "Hey, we wanted to suggest a change for you." And the change is going to be, uh, production meeting.
Right, you have to know the personnel you're bringing, who's coming, like, there has to be some sort of even if it's like a loose guideline, like, there has to be something where they know at least like a basic breakdown of what's happening.
Exactly. So we'll see how this plays out in the days and weeks that come here on All Elite Radio. We moved on to my next question for you, Ashley. We had a dang good vignette to introduce Speedball Mike Billy as he's apparently all elite. He's heading to AEW. So my question to you, Ashley, is how will this gentleman do in all elite wrestling?
I mean, he has the ability to excel like some of the other kind of like Swerve Strickland, like Will Ospreay has since signing with AEW. He's talented as all hell, and with some of the people on this roster, we've already seen him have matches in some other promotions. Somebody like Konosuke Takeshita, people like Will Ospreay already. So to see him bring this ability into AEW is very exciting. And I love the fact that we even had Veda Scott on the commentary on the vignette. I'm kind of hoping maybe that could be a little maybe we could, like, backdoor her into AEW and slide her in on maybe a commentary night somewhere, they seem to have a rotating cast of commentary lately. Um, but like you said, a very cool vignette, and I like this newer approach of kind of teasing the debuts before, they're kind of coming in and just having a match right off the bat. It's nice to get a little excitement buzzed up for 'em.
Very true. Because like for a period of time, they would do VNs for people coming into AEW. Then it became, oh, here's the surprise on the pay per view. Like, here's Adam Cole, baby, and here's Daniel Bryanson, and you're going like, Tony, could you not give us a heads up? Could you not tease this going into a show so we know what is coming? But with this one, it's getting me excited to see Speedball Mike Belly into this company because I'm thinking Speedball Mike Belly versus Ricochet. I'm thinking about him versus Kyle Fletcher.
Hologram? I
Hologram.
gotta
Oh, God. Him versus Hologram would be freaking amazing.
There's a like I said, like, there's gonna be a lot of good matchups for him, and I'm very excited to see him bring his skills here.
Oh, Mike Bailey versus Beast Mortos.
It was like, we got Konosuke Takeshita here again, we need to run this back.
Okay, so we're moving on to my next question for you, Ashley. And I think this is going to be a very tough question for you because I know you like both these tag teams. As we found out on Collision, there's going to be a match on Dynamite apparently between the Outrunners and the Murder Machine, and the winner gets a AEW World Tag Team shot, gets a Hurt Syndicate. So, Ashley, which team do you want?
My head says the Murder Machines, my heart says the Outrunners. Um, I feel like it's Murder Machines, but man, what the Outrunners have done in the past few months to get themselves over, to kinda like to show how good they are for being like this comedy duo and stuff, I love it. Comedy wrestling can be the best when it's done right, and I think they do it perfectly. Um, that being said, I do think the Murder Machines are gonna live up to their name.
I guess you think about this. The Hurt Syndicate is really babyface right now. The crowd enjoys the Hurt Syndicate. They literally chant, "We hurt people. We hurt people. You hurt on Collision tonight." So I get a feeling it's going to be the Murder Machine because I feel like they can afford to be the heel tag team going against Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin and having a hell of a match. And if you put the Outrunners and the Hurt Syndicate, you're going to split the crowd down 50-50 because A, you don't want to see the Outrunners lose, and it's too soon for the Hurt Syndicate to lose, and you don't want them to lose to the comedy tag team either.
Yeah, I think that's true. And like you said, I don't want those belts to come off Hurt Syndicate, honestly, either way. I think they're the perfect tag team champions right now. I MVP is the perfect guy, and these guys can really help bring some of these tag teams up. Like, once we start getting them into these feuds with these tag teams. I like what we've done with Lance Archer and Brian Cage. You know, they're an actual tag team. We have a name for them. They have, you know, something to that's, you know, tangible that we can grasp onto. I like what they're doing, and I want to see the Hurt Syndicate kind of run the tag team division for a bit.
They are the most over act in AEW wrestling right now. Literally, like I said, like a month ago when I went to Dynamite, the crowd just went for Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. And literally, they do what they said. They're bad guys who come out, they kick butt, they win titles, they hurt people, they tell what they're going to do, and they back the thing up. So, surprise, surprise, the crowd got behind them.
Yeah, no, like I said, I'm excited. I think they keep the titles either way, and I want to see them in it. There's so many tag teams I still want to see them face. I'm hoping to see them stay champions for a while till still to come.
Well, we saw another event for a tag team that recently formed in AEW on Collision last night, and it's the Crew. And we're talking about Leo Rush and Action Andretti. I like to see them versus the Hurt Syndicate down the road too.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Especially Leo Rush and Bobby Lashley reunited reunited here.
I just want to see Leo Rush just bounce around for Bobby Lashley for like 15 minutes in a match. That would be entertaining.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Action Andretti, you know, while I don't think at quite at the same level as a Leo Rush, I think he's another one that could he can do the same exact thing for Bobby Lashley. He'd be a good one to just toss around, and he would make it look great.
You know, talk about Ashley Andretti for a second. I wasn't sure when they made the heel turn on Ashley Andretti that he would fit the character, but now with him and Leo Rush and his vignette we saw last night on Collision, it feels right with him. And I gotta say, I was wrong.
Yeah, no, I you know, we kinda goof on the jackets and stuff when they come out with the big puffy spiked jackets, but, I think the new character kind of suits him. I think he's found a little bit of a niche for a heel character.
Okay, Ashley. So my last question of this week's episode. It's the main event of Collision. It's for the Ring of Honor World Title. And my question to you is: should they had ended the second run of Chris Jericho as the Ring of Honor World Champion last night, as Bambino unfortunately did not beat Chris Jericho?
Again, for the 900th time. Yes. And again, I still need a break from Chris Jericho that I'm not getting. Um, I don't know. I don't know what the end game is here. It feels like everybody we build up towards Jericho doesn't feel like a real contender, and it feels like we put this title on Jericho for a TV deal that hasn't happened yet.
See, that's my thing. Is like we had him with this title now for at least 6 months, if my memory serves me correct. And there's hasn't been any forward momentum on this Ring of Honor TV show that somehow gets tied to the fact, oh, hey, we'll give you Chris Jericho as the world champion. And we just brought back Bambino. And we did a lot of build up leading into weeks of events for him to come back. And we did it all for him to lose to Chris freaking Jericho.
Yeah, and I yeah, I hate to see Bandito take this loss. Like you said, especially right after making his return, I didn't really feel like they were gonna pull the trigger. I felt like they were gonna keep it on Jericho to begin with, but man, do I just do I just need a break from it.
You know, if there was never a perfect time for a 20-minute time limit draw to end Collision, this was it.
Yeah, honestly, I would have taken that outcome all day.
Because it saves your returning babyface at Bambino as we're trying to build him up to be something again. And you don't move the title off of Jericho because you don't want to move the title off of Jericho. It's the easiest answer to the question. But no, we have to give Jericho the victory.
And if I'm not mistaken, was it not clean? There was no I don't No
Yeah,
interference. He just gets the roll up at the end. It's not like like he's a heel. At least have him do a heel tactic if you're gonna have him win. He didn't pull the
exactly.
tights, even with the roll up or anything. It was just a clean roll up.
It's the textbook 50-50 booking because Bambino got the victory in Australia, so now Jericho gets his victory back here, and now I guess we go to a third match in the series here. Now, this match on Collision was one of my favorite matches of the week in AEW wrestling, so I wouldn't mind seeing this match again. This was a different outcome.
Yeah. I I'm happy Bandito is back, and like I said, it feels right now, it doesn't feel like anybody is built at that level to beat Chris Jericho for that title in Ring of Honor right now.
It makes me want to say, "Hey, Tony, just have Chris Jericho versus John Moxley, Ring of Honor title versus AEW title, and just let's just merge it."
Yeah, with the amount of time that the ROH title is on AEW television, you might as well. Even Jericho, he's sporadically made appearances on Ring of Honor over the past few weeks, but it's not really been in anything like a match or like in-ring segments. He's had like one or two in-ring segments, but it's mostly been like pre-recorded backstage segments where he does like maybe a small interview or a small promo, whatever. So I mean, again, even still being the Ring of Honor champion, still not really on Ring of Honor, and this has been one of the most reoccurring Ring of Honor issues that we've had.
So true. So, to end this week's episode, I have one final question for you. Okay, and my question for you is gonna be: given everything we've seen through the week of AEW TV, did Dynamite feel like a letdown from Grand Slam Australia?
I think maybe a little bit, but I do think that is because that Dynamite truly did feel like a pay-per-view. We talked about it, like, it wasn't even just the matches, there weren't any in-ring segments, there wasn't anything to really kinda slow down the pace of the show, and I think that's why, like, it was so well received. I think when AEW does the more story heavy stuff, I feel like it can be a bit divisive.
You know, coming out of Dynamite on Wednesday night, I thought it was a letdown because felt slow at drug in parts, and it might just be the simple fact that you're right that that episode of Collision from Australia was boom, 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 match, boom, 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 something else. But after seeing Collision and the fact that they taped Collision the night after Dynamite in Phoenix, it made more sense, and it kind of made this week feel
A little more
eventful.
time together.
Yeah, it did. It felt like a proper like fallout from AEW Grand Slam Australia, and it helped us lead us way into AEW Revolution, which we'll be previewing on the next episode of All Elite Radio. But Ashley, where can we find you on the Super Information Superhighway?
I'm on Blue Sky and it's at groovyash.bsky.social. I'm always tweeting along with the shows live.
And of course, you can follow this show on Twitter at All Elite Radio. And I got a little surprise for you guys. Me and David are going to sit down Friday to do a special catch up edition of what we'll call the British Suplex Show or Radio Free Professional Wrestling Reunion, whatever me and David decide to call it. But we're going to talk about the world of professional wrestling, and he's promised to come up with a bunch of questions that I don't know, but I'm going to have to give my answer on the spot. So he's going to put me to the test. So catch that this coming up weekend on our YouTube channel, All Elite Radio. I promise you, it's going to be fun. And until next time, stay stunning.